We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah. If you have been tuning into the episodes, we've had a blast recording the last episodes. Actually, the one previous to this one was was amazing with our guest, Steve J. Larson. This guy made $1.6 million in one day, and we had him on the show sharing some of his secrets. So please, if you haven't heard that episode, go back and check it out. Yep. And there's a ton of episodes just like that. So this is episode number 22. Whoosh!
I think we're on a roll.
We're on a roll. We got to keep going. So if you are tuning in live, thank you so much for being live with us. I see Gary. Gary, what's up, man? How you doing? We're actually going to share a story about you. So thank you for tuning in today. And we're excited to get this show on the road. So, Fonzie, why don't you tell me a little bit on what happened yesterday? What happened?
So, yesterday was, Monday.
Monday. Yeah, we are. Today's Wednesday.
Monday was a pretty big day for us, right? Because it was a really big interview that we had with Mr. Steve J. Larson, who is awesome. He's not only an amazing marketer, but he's a great human being overall.
Amazing, yes.
And we were planning everything, right? Like the intro that we were going to do to him. We're like, okay, like what are other intros that people have done to him? How have they brought him into the show? And I feel like we always want to be like, okay, but how can we try to be a little bit better or different, right? How can we be different?
Different is the word.
Yeah, I think how can we be different? And we started just like kind of like playing around. We were a little nervous because the time was running.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, it's about to be the time where he's gonna come on. We're not gonna have anything. We're not gonna be prepared. We're just
so you guys have a little bit of background. Like this is a person, and we have some amazing guys on the pipeline that are already committed to the show, which is incredible. And this is the second time that we booked somebody that is not in our close circle to a show. So, we had to go through the legit process, talk to the assistant. It's like they give you like these 30 minutes that you have to talk that you have to talk to that person. And the time, it was 3:30 p.m. when the interview was supposed to start. And from there, you have 20 minutes to kind of run the show, right? So as many as you know, we record this live. So we were kind of like freaking out a little bit because normally we go live, we chat a little bit, we share the content, and that takes a couple of minutes to get this thing rolling. So we're like, wow, what do we do? How do we do this, right?
I think we already knew because we talked about when we booked that time with him. We talked about the questions that we wanted to ask him.
Yes.
Like overall, we knew what type of questions we wanted to ask. We knew where we wanted to take the conversation, but we didn't know how we were planning on bringing him on the show. And that's what we were...
The way that we wanted to run the show, right?
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, planning, sweating, and then...
shaking.
I don't know how the idea came about, but we were like, dude, like, what if we find the song that he uses to go on stage when he speaks publicly?
Publicly, yeah. He was actually in January.
And we actually put that in the podcast.
Yeah.
So actually, when we went to watch him at Funnel Hacking Live, I mean, every time Russell Brunson would come out of stage, he has the same song. And it's funny. Steve Larson actually has the same song that Russell Brunson has, but he does it because
there's a reason behind it.
There's that very smart reason behind it, right?
And if you want to know, drop in the comments, send us a DM if you're listening. Please, we want to share this. I don't think we have enough time to share that side of the story, but we'll continue.
That's right. So we found the song and we're like, dude, this is going to be awesome. We're going to blow his mind. He's not going to expect it. Let's just tell him we have a surprise for him. And
it was a little risky because, I mean, that was something that we're trying for the first time. Yeah. We were a little familiar with the equipment.
Hey, but you know what they say, you gotta risk it to get the biscuit. So that's what we went for.
That's what we went for. And then what happened? Tell me.
Yeah, so Steve hops on Skype. We started talking. We're like, hey, Steve.
Well, before that, right before the song, we decided to add some elements into the visual aspect of the show.
Oh, yeah. True. You continue the story.
So
You got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey. Okay, so
I'm handing the stick on the relay race. Let's go.
let's go. Okay. So we kind of said, so Fonzie found the song and we're like, okay, what else can we do? And if you ever seen one of the videos and if you're listening, I'm gonna give you the picture, right? We're sitting on this like white table, we have the computers in front of us, and then we put this color light behind us just to give it a little touch of excitement.
Yeah, a little. Some people would say a little pizzazz.
A little pizzazz, right? And we're like, okay, so Steve is known as the Capitals Pig. His gear, his swag is always red, black, right? What can we do? And we had like this like red piggy that he gave us from one of the events. So we're like, okay, let's use the piggy somehow. And then we have the light that we put in the background. We can actually change the color. So we're like, okay, as we put the intro, like this song, we're gonna choreograph, and somebody's gonna be cheering, and then the other person is gonna grab the color and change it in the background so it turns red. And we're gonna put the piggy right in front of us.
Well, my responsibility was to change the color.
Exactly.
So we assigned the task.
We assigned the task.
He'll put the piggy and play the song, and I'll be the one changing the light on the back.
And at this point, like, we're thinking, like, oh my God, like, what is he gonna actually think? Like, he's been in big interviews with big people, podcasting. He has his own show that already surpassed the 300 episodes, launching a second show. So we're at this point, we're like, has people done this with him? Like, is this actually gonna be legit? Like,
I feel like the whole process of doubting yourself.
Exactly. Like, your mind straight goes, and this happens every time you're about to create a piece of content. It's like, what's the other person gonna think, right? And this is legit because we're actually interviewing this guy, right? So every scenario goes through our head. One of the scenarios is like, this guy is actually not gonna like that intro, and he's actually gonna leave the interview. So we're like, okay, well, what are we gonna be doing if that's the worst case scenario that can happen? So even just imagining, okay, what's gonna happen, we just laughed and continue. And so yeah, we had all the pieces in place, shaking, freaking out, just sitting in front of the computer, like, okay, it's 3:28.
Let's rehearse it now.
Let's rehearse it.
Yeah, because we're like, let's try it out one time so we know it's gonna sound good.
To see what happens, right? And we did it. We stumbled upon a couple of words in there, and we're like, you know what? It's time. Let's call him. Let's get this show on the road. And
so we call Steve, and then he pops on Skype. He's like, hey, what's up, boys? How you guys doing? He's super cool. And we're like, okay, Steve, we're gonna go live. We know your time is super valuable. We don't want to waste it. So we're gonna hide you from the screen. We're gonna go live on Facebook, share the post, and we're gonna do the intro for the podcast, and then introduce you and bring you on. And he's like, all right, I'm ready. I was like, we have a little surprise for you too. Are you ready for that? He's like, yeah. He kind of laughed, and he's like, yeah, sure,
bring it on.
Yeah. He had no idea what was coming his way.
Had no idea.
So we start the podcast. Hey, this is Luis. This is Luis. Bam, bam, bam. Song, content is profit. Pew, pew, pew.
Introduce him, yeah.
And then we're like, okay, guys, we started saying a few things, kind of like, he says he has big eyes, and
which he actually says that,
and you could, he actually says that, but you could hear like his giggle in the background too. If you're listening to that audio, he like giggles in the back,
yeah.
And we're like, he closed over $1 million in one day from stage. He is known as the king of offer creation, the one and only Capitalist Pig. And then right at that moment, my brother was like, he's dear to our hearts, the one and only Steve J. Larson. And we played the song. Do you have the song right there?
This guy.
That's the song. So, I mean, I listened to that song and immediately I'm like, yeah.
Pump up, right?
Yeah, we played that song as we're saying, Mr. Steve J. Larson.
Fonzie's freaking out over here.
Yeah, we're like screaming, yeah.
He's laughing. So obviously he forgot to change the color of the light in the background. So I'm diving in, over the mic, just like trying to change the color, grab the piggy, which was my actual task.
I forgot about all my responsibilities at that moment. I was just so excited. Steve popped up on the screen. Now everybody could see him. He was cracking up.
He was laughing.
I was just like this. I was just shaking my arms up and down like, yeah. And my brother was just like changing everything to make it look all red like Steve's brand.
Like Steve's brand, yeah. And what was funny though is like the second that he started laughing is when we knew that all this paid off, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a reassurance.
It was a reassurance.
Hey, like, that was the right move, regardless of any doubt that you may have. And the cool thing is, like, obviously we said, hey, Steve, welcome. We are super excited to have you on the show. And the first thing that he said was, I don't think I've ever been a part of an intro like that to a podcast.
Yeah, and I think if you want, I recommend go back and listen to this because it's actually hilarious. And the fact that we want to share with you guys this experience. And obviously after that, the seal, was broken, and the ice was broken, and we continued with the interview, and we actually had a really cool cool show, to the point that after the first 30 minutes, we asked him, like, hey, there's still some topics, some things that we want to discuss with you on the show. Will you be okay on coming on again? And I can't remember if I said it on the show or after we ended the broadcast, but immediately he was like, guys, yes, of course.
No, I think we asked, if I remember correctly, we asked him twice during the show. We were like, hey, Steve, so today we actually talked about publishing and mindset, but we would love to talk about capitalism and all that meaning behind his brand. And it was at that point he was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And then after we hung up, we're like, hey, Steve, thank you so much for your time. Like, it was amazing. Yeah. We had a great chat, and we asked him again, would it be okay? Because actually we come from a socialist country, and we love all your brand of around capitalist. So can we do it again? And he was like, absolutely. And then we actually reached out again through Instagram, thanking him, and his answer was awesome. He sent us a voice note back saying, hey guys, thank you so much. That interview was a blast. I had so much fun, and I normally don't go on podcasts for a second time, but I would love to do it with you guys. It was great.
I love it. So and that was the point I wanted to make. It's put yourself out there, be you, right? Like, the fact that you are different than everybody else, and not just on a podcast, right? On your content. And this is some of the things that we've shared. And at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, like, what is the worst thing that it can happen? And we actually play that scenario where it's like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? He just like drops a call and doesn't do it again. And then we had a backup plan where it's like, okay, we're just going to talk about how to adapt very quickly when things go south, right? Something like that. So once we put that scenario and we just laughed and we're like, okay, there's literally nothing to lose, in this scenario at this point. We did it. It worked. And now we have a big payoff where we had a great relationship, great interview, and now he's coming on a second time. So that was kind of like our summary of the awesome experience that we had with Steve.
That was our humble flex of our Steve interview.
And with that being said, now we kind of raise the bar on how we bring people into the show. So
literally after the interview, we look at each other and we're like, wow, now we're gonna have to do
this.
We're gonna have to step up, and everybody that bring in, find a creative, awesome way to bring them in to not only raise the energy, but actually make them feel special, right? Because that's the whole point.
It is a digital stage, and this is exactly what we're doing this show. So a lot of good things happen. We have awesome guests coming. Josh 40 confirmed. We're still working on a date with him.
Yeah. Miss Marley Jacks
too. Confirmed working on a date too. And then obviously Steve coming a second time. And we have a bunch of other like local businesses that we've been talking to, and not just so local, like online businesses. So we're excited to have these guys and start having more people into the show, and so they can share their stories and strategies and stuff like that.
So if you want to keep up with our journey, right? And not only that, but listen to all these people that are very, very successful, don't forget to tap the subscribe button. And if you want,
smash it.
Yeah. And if you
kiss
want
it, love it.
And if you want,
whatever you want.
Okay, you say it.
You say it. Go ahead.
And if you want to support us, please share our podcast with everybody that you know, so we can reach as many people as we can.
Yeah. So
moving on.
There we go. Because we actually have like 15 minutes left because of our memory card. There we go.
Let's go.
So a lot of people after hearing that story is like, oh my god, well, I'm not that creative, right? So what do I do? Like how can I solve this? And we came up with a little answer, right?
Well, okay.
I'll give you my answer, and then
You give your point of view, and then I'll give my point of view.
So my point of view is like, you actually don't have to be creative. There's an easier way. Just be nice, right? So I'll give you an example. With Steve, we knew him at a level where we can create like these elements to the show and add them, but we also were nice. And this morning we actually recorded this show with Gary. His show is called Jack's Business Strong. He hasn't launched yet. He has recorded a couple of episodes, and we had the amazing opportunity to come in early. We had a chat. He had a good time in this conversation. He was telling us like sometimes it's really hard to get people that are like easygoing, and we try to be as accommodating and easygoing as possible when we are provided with the platform. And after the show that we recorded, we brought value, or we felt that we brought value, and he had such a good time to the point that he was like, guys, I think I'm actually gonna launch my podcast with your episode. And that cannot be like, that is the biggest compliment that we've ever had. And the only thing that we did there was we were being true to ourselves, and we were being nice by allowing him time to have a great conversation on the topic that he was having us talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, so like people that say, oh, but I'm not creative, I don't know how to do this or that. Okay, personally, I think being creative to a certain point is a little bit like subjective, right? I think if you're exercising your mind and looking for different ideas, then you're being creative, you know?
That's right.
Like if you are going away from what the normal is, you're already being creative. The thing is, obviously a lot of people portray creativity as like all these fancy, nice looking things. But I think is as long as you try to do something different, you're thinking creatively. Now, that being said, actually, this afternoon, and I think this is how we thought about the topic, about talking about this topic today.
That's when it clicked, and it's like, okay, can we talk about this today, right? Yeah.
So one of our guilty pleasures is eating Panda Express.
Oh, delicious.
So
they're not a sponsor. We just love them.
Yeah, it's very good. We know it's not the healthiest of meals, but it's okay. So it was once in a while. You gotta feed your belly, full belly, happy heart. So we went to Panda, and of course you cannot go inside the store right now with the coronavirus going on. And there was a huge line of cars waiting to order their food. So we're like, oh, this is gonna take so long. This lady comes out of the store. She had a mask, and she's like, are you guys gonna pay with a credit card? We're like, yes. She's like, well, it's not working.
Well, first she said, you guys are in the right spot.
Oh, okay.
So we waited a little bit longer.
And then she came back once again.
Yes.
She asked us, did you say credit card? We're like, yes. She's like, well, it's not working. And we are like, oh, in our minds, I think immediately we were like, oh no, we've been waiting all this time.
We went to the negative place.
Yeah, we wasted this time. Where are we going to go get some food now? And she's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. If you have your phone with you, you can go online
and
order online, and then I'll just bring it out for you guys. So obviously that's something that Panda doesn't really do. Most people just go inside Panda when there's no coronavirus, or they go through the drive-thru and they get their food. But she was adapting to the situation, the fact that they couldn't process credit cards, and she was like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to be of service to you. I'm here to be nice, right? I'm thinking outside of the box. And she was like, I will bring your order outside. So just park in there and order. And she did, literally, we saw her like running around, because obviously Panda doesn't have a service where you kind of like order online and leave your name. I think so.
Yeah, there was like
your card. She couldn't distinguish.
There was no way. Yeah,
she couldn't distinguish who put the order. So we could see her around, kind of like running around between cars, trying to look for the right person to give the order. And like it was awesome to see, because it's like she adapted to the problems that were happening, the challenges that were happening at that time.
She was making the best she could at that time.
She was doing the best that she could, coming up with a solution that worked for everybody, And I mean, she was giving the best that she got. So at that point, we're like, oh, so cool. She's adapting to the problem. And immediately we're like, oh, that's what we're going to talk about the podcast today, right? Like adapting.
Yeah.
And obviously we related it to Steve's
So
story and Gary.
I want to add to that because like she actually turned that waiting experience that could be very negative for a lot of people,
Even
right?
better.
Even better for us. So, you know, she comes out with the first bag. That's not us. I'm like, oh my God, that looks like our 2 platters, right? I'm going to like honk on the, you know, on the car and like let her know that I'm here.
Like a friendly honk. Not like,
Yeah, like a friendly honk, like, you know?
how's a friendly honk?
So anyway, so she like comes out, she's like, oh my God, okay, what's your name? Luis. And then she comes the second time, it's like, what's your name again? Luis. And I'm like, and then she comes the third time and we see like a bunch of cars have left and she's like, you know, guys, like there's like 50 orders that people did online and like there's no names and I am so sorry. And I'm like, look, it doesn't matter. My name is this one. My name is Luis and this is exactly what we ordered. And she looked kind of relieved and she's like, well, thank you for that. Like the fact that we just described the order for her. And she's like, she turned around, she's like, I'm gonna actually do something nice for you guys. And she went in there, she grabbed her food, and then she added a ton of stuff like chocolate cookies and egg rolls.
She added like 20 more pounds to her body weights.
Basically, which we were starving, so we're not complaining.
Oh,
so
yeah. We're happy about it.
She adapted first to that situation that wasn't planned. And then she turned our experience that she thought it was a negative one into a really positive one. The secret was that we didn't really care because we knew how hard she was working. But at the same time, like that created such an impact to the point that we now remember her name. Her name is Nicole. So thank you, Nicole, if you're
listening.
listening.
Not only that, you know what I love? At the end, when we told her, we're like, hey, thank you so much for working this hard. This is awesome. And she was like, oh, wow, thank you. Would you guys mind? She had a call to action and we're like, yes, call to action. She's like,
yes.
Do you guys mind going online and filling the survey, you know, and just leaving me a good review? And we were like,
Heck,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Of course, we're going to do it right now.
Yeah.
Because again, she was trying her best. She was adapting to the situation. And it was a great service. So I actually want to move on.
I want to relate it, before you move on, I want to relate it to content, right? Because these are obviously situations that happen in real life, right?
Of course.
And maybe, is that the place that you were going? Maybe? I don't know.
Kind of.
So, obviously, these are things that happen in our daily lives with, like, situations in persons, right? How do you turn that into an experience, right? You adapt real quick, and then you can turn it into an experience. And that combination can be really powerful also online. So, one example is the first story that we obviously shared with Steven. But also, how can we create that with content, right? How can we recreate that amazing feeling that other person can take? So, Fonzi, how will you do that with content?
Well, one of the things that you should probably think before creating your content is what kind of emotions I want to bring, to my listeners or my viewers, whatever type of content you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And you are going to create your content based on those emotions. Obviously, If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, we are like pretty high energy because we want you to kind of like be on fire right after listening to this and be like, let's get to work,
Let's get to work.
So but you can think, okay, like, do I want them to feel like empathetic, right? Or do I want them to feel kind of like excited? Or do I want them to be surprised, right? Kind of like cause a shock. So those are some things that you can do, kind of like think outside the box instead of just saying, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about today. And then that's it, right? Like think a little bit outside the box and be, okay, what tone am I going to say it with? What feeling am I going to show this other person? Because yes, people remember information, but they remember even better how you made them feel. So if that piece of information made them feel surprised, or they may make them connect emotionally, they are gonna remember it even more. So
I love it, dude. I couldn't say it even better. I mean, the way that we're always gonna be, we're all right. We're always gonna remember Nicole because of the way that she made us feel with that experience that she created for us. Hopefully, Steve is gonna remember the way that we introduced him into the podcast, and maybe that's one of the main reasons why we're coming back with him.
Yeah.
So take that extra step. What else can you deliver of value if you have a platform to your guests or to the people that you're creating content with or for? And then do it, right? So I want to transition really quickly into the action points because we're running out of time here.
Wait. Before this is going to take like a minute or less.
Okay.
I remember
Deal.
January, when we went to Funnel Hacking Live, we watched live Tom Bilyeu. It was the first time that we came across Tom Bilyeu, and he was absolutely amazing. And I remember his whole speech was based on the human capacity to adapt.
Yes.
Like the reason why humans are awesome is because we can adapt to any situation. So, guys, no matter what the obstacle is, no matter what the challenge is, keep in mind we can always adapt and take that as an opportunity to be better. That's it. That's all I wanted to do.
Awesome.
That was like 30 seconds.
I love it. A plus. Yes. Okay. So action points, right? These are very simple. And then Fonzie, if you want to add some here, feel free. But the first thing is we have to actively be looking, like number one, actively be looking for an opportunity to add value to the person that you're talking to, right? Whatever that means. What is the extra step that I can take that is going to make that experience a little bit better?
Yeah.
If we train our mind to look for those moments, it's going to become a process. It's going to become easier.
Yeah. Something I've been kind of like working a little bit on myself lately is asking the right questions in my mind. Because as we've learned, questions invite revelations. Mm-hmm. So normally when you're going throughout the day, you're asking questions and answering them in your mind, right? But a lot of those times we're not super conscious about those. But when we're about to create content, we always create that reflex of asking the question, how can I add more value? Eventually, you are going to start coming up with the answers and thinking creatively.
Yeah. This, love it. Love it. Number two, it's kind of like one sideways, right? It's like, how can you adapt and add value to any experience that you have, right? So when we talk about creating content, a lot of the questions like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. What do I do? What do I say? And sometimes there's a lot of experiences that you have been going through your day or your week that you can quickly adapt that information into your content related to your business, and then there's a lesson there to be shared with your audience. So that's an example. And then third point and final,
last but not least,
the most important one is actually do it.
Take action,
execute.
Yeah.
Do it, because a lot of people like go through all this thinking, they're planning, put it on their paper in their computer, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, don't be afraid to follow your gut, because sometimes your gut is very correct.
Yeah. All right.
So that's it. And I think with that, we got a minute and 30 seconds to spare to tell you to like, comment, smash the subscribe button.
Smash it.
If you want to support Content is Profit, please don't forget to share it with everybody.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much again for being with us in another episode of Content is Profit. Please, if you love it, follow what Fonzie said, subscribe, and leave us a review. We would love to hear what you think about the show. Yeah. And thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next show.
Yeah, reach out to us on any social media. BIZBROS Co, right?
BIZBROS Co.
And we went over the music, the outro, and we're still talking. We're going.
Okay,
ciao. Let's do it.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.
We're still live here on Facebook, guys. What's up?
I forgot. Let's go.
All right.
I was like, oh, relief. Oh.
Relief. We are done.
We actually went through. I didn't know that song finished that quickly.
Well, it's not the whole song. It's
I know we chopped it off. But
so,
I didn't remember we chopped it off that quickly.
It's all good.
That's fine,
That's
guys.
fine. Well, thank you so much, Facebook Live, for being with us. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. Yep. We are going to be back on Friday. We are aiming to go live a little bit earlier because 9 p.m. is a little bit of a stretch.
Way earlier, actually. we should have... Let's vote right here, people. If you're watching this video, I don't know why I'm pointing at the computer. If you're watching this video, guys, please let us know what would be the best time for us to go live. Do you think it's at 5 p.m.? It's at 7 p.m.
Is it
or
3
maybe
p.m.?
Is before 5 p.m. Yeah, is it 3? Is it noon?
Is it noon?
We want to know because we want to get to everybody's screen and everybody's saying the Biz Bros are so much fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to go live. I want to see what they have to say.
Let's hang
and
out
not only
together.
that, we want to hear what you have to say and
Yeah.
the questions that you have, because we want to help you answer them.
Awesome. All right, Fonzie, thank you so much. Thank you, Facebook Live. Thank you,
Let's
everybody
go.
that's tuning in. Thank you that are tuning in. And we will see you on Friday.
And we'll be back Friday.